Okay, folksonomy. Now, this is where I'm going to ruffle a few feathers, and my apologies for it, but I want to talk about a couple of things about a folksonomy and what the challenges are. So, folksonomy is collaborative tagging, right? It's anybody can put anything they want. It's a free vocabulary. I can type in foobar, and that can become a tag in a folksonomy. The idea is that it's emergent, that people just get together and they build the terms, and the terms will just magically appear. And the part I struggle with is the magically part. If you've got a really large set of users, Flickr, Delicious, those you can get emergent categories. But that's not always something that you can get when you're building your information architecture. So we're going to talk about a couple of other issues in a second, but I want to talk about just the issues around words. And so synonyms, right? Multiple tags, same concept, same meaning. So what if I use vehicle, automobile, car, in a handful of other tags that all mean the same thing? It's very difficult to navigate those. Homonymity, the same tag, different meaning. So for instance, take nursing. When we say nursing, we could very well mean a mammal nursing their young, or we could equally mean a healthcare provider that's a nurse. You can imagine my surprise when I searched for nursing one day for a site that I was building, and I got things other than people in scrubs. Folksonomy. This is the same tag, different meanings, but they're all related. So it's just variations on a theme. The last bit is specificity. So I could say tree, or I could say silver maple. They're the same thing, really. A silver maple is a tree. But then how do I relate them together so that if I search for tree, I find things tagged with silver maple? So one of the challenges is cold start. When you do a folksonomy, nobody knows what to put in it. And this is the same problem that Amazon originally had for their reviews. In fact, they got into a little bit of heat because they were paying people to do reviews because they needed people to start putting reviews into the system to create the cultural norm necessary to get this engine started. So it's a cold start problem. You have to break the inertia. You have to provide a model or cultural norm for how to do it. And ideally, you need to create a reason for people to try it. If we lean on Everett Rogers' work in Diffusion of Innovations, we'll see that adoption is something that comes out of 5 factors. And so if we're going to do a folksonomy, how do we get people to want to do it? Well, it's got to have a relative advantage over what they're doing now. It's got to be compatible with what they're doing now. The complexity has to be low, it has to be something they can try and come back, and it has to be observable. Well, that's kind of challenging. Now, I say that because how is the person who's doing the tagging getting their value out? When we're doing tagging, we're actually not helping ourselves. We're helping the people that are going to retrieve it. So it's really hard to get this kick-started with a folksonomy. Once people have done it, and you have something like Flickr that's got lots of tags, it's easy to maintain it because the engine's already running, but getting it started is really kind of challenging. Okay, so we're going to talk about taxonomy here in a second. So why should we do folksonomy versus taxonomy? Well, folksonomy has that cold start problem. You have to figure out how to sustain it and maintain it. How do you deal with those multiple synonyms? Taxonomy, on the other hand, is a focused effort. You're going to pay somebody to work on it, and you're going to have better control. So do you want to create a mess and clean it up, which is a perfectly valid way to do things, or not? Pre and post coordination is the difference between when are you doing the mess, right? So when are you dealing with the messiness? And in pre-coordination, we're talking about a taxonomy. We deal with all the mess up front. In post, it's a folksonomy. They do it, and then we try and straighten it up. You're going to have a mess one way or the other. You're just going to figure out when you deal with it. Before we leave folksonomy and social, I want to bring up this idea of tag clouds. It comes up from time to time. It seems to be a recurring theme that just won't go away. And so people say, ooh, we can do folksonomy and tag clouds, and the size of the words represents the frequency at which they occur, which is great. And it looks beautiful. except it doesn't do anything meaningful. So this is a tag cloud from President Obama's speech in January 25th of 2011. Who cares that he said people, jobs, American business, work, years more than he said the other words? It doesn't really matter. So, from Macbeth, told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. It doesn't help you much. As a navigational tool, people like to use, it's a navigational tool, and people can click on the middle. Okay, so what does the result of clicking on a person, the word people or jobs or whatever, what does that lead you to? Does it lead you to search or to something else? It's kind of a hard question.